Yeah, I think that this is something I've spent a lot of time thinking about. As somebody who's been in recovery since 1998, I've been to thousands of AA meetings. I know so many people in recovery. And over the course of 10 years of hosting my podcast, I've had so many experts in the realm of addiction, sobriety, and recovery. And I've come to believe that this notion of addiction lives on a much broader spectrum than we may realize. When we think of addiction, we think of the junkie or, the gutter drunk. But in between, that polarity, there's a whole spectrum of addictive, and I would even weave in obsessive compulsive behavior that ranges from continuing to get into the same bad relationship to being unable to put the phone down, where we are seizing moments and opportunities through behavior or substance to distract ourselves from ourselves because we are experiencing discomfort with whatever emotion is coming up. And it's easier to divert to something that will give us a sense of ease and comfort or distraction than to sit with that sense of dis-ease. And I think that any kind of recurring, repeated behavior pattern that mimics that could be characterized as an addiction. It may be mild, but I think nonetheless, it's not, it's qualitatively the same thing as the person who can't stop drinking. And it all goes back to this inside job of trying to understand what makes us tick, the nature and origin of those discomforts, what triggers those, and trying to find a way to not only sit with those, but confront them and work through them so you can ultimately transcend them and liberate yourself from the behavior or the substance or whatever it may be that is the kind of go-to default thing that you do when you start to feel like out of control or nervous or anxious or insecure or perhaps triggered or any number of kind of emotional impulses that might arise.
What is the cost of not learning to be with myself? So I'm looking at all these things, phone addiction. I'm definitely addicted to my phone. All of these addictions, I've got some of them in, varying degrees. So what? Mm-hmm. What's the cost?
Well, time will tell, right? Maybe there isn't a cost that is so significant that it mandates that you rectify that behavior. Again, it's a spectrum, right? So for you might be able to engage in a certain behavior without having negative ramifications in your life that are significant enough for you to redress that. For somebody else, it might destroy their life. But I think developing an awareness around those behaviors and paying attention enough such that if you start to find yourself experiencing negative life ramifications as a result of those behaviors, you're not in denial over that, and you can make a course correction.
And what's the upside then of just learning to sit with yourself as opposed to reaching for the phone or for the cake or for the beer? What is the upside of that? I say this because I think I live in a generation that have become so used to distracting ourselves. And the thought of like meditating or not having our phone on us is actually, it's like a phobia. Mm-hmm. We haven't learned to sit with ourselves in silence with our thoughts.
If you can't sit silently with yourself, with your thoughts, then you are not living an intentional, examined life. And I think to be addicted to your phone or to be living in that reactive mode where you're constantly distracting yourself robs you of something that we need as human beings, which is rumination and boredom. That is the juice of creativity. And as a creative person, somebody who does this show and talks to amazing people and is writing a book and is very much in a space where your creativity is really the driver of everything that you do, I would say to you, it is of paramount importance to protect your boredom, to protect your quiet time, to put boundaries around those distractions. Otherwise, you are not going to be doing your best work, and you are going to be depriving your audience of the best version of yourself.